This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
Good evening and welcome to the news tonight on NDTV Hindu. I'm Evelyn Matthew, bringing you all of the day's top stories at 9. We're also joined by our Executive Editor English News, Sanjay Pinto, with a panel of guests. With him.
Well, indeed, we're going to ask the viewers of Chennai the big question. A mid-career shift, is that a bounty or a gamble? And we joined live in our studio by Vaidyanathan, who in fact quit his high-paying IT job to become an entrepreneur, and Surya Prasad, a cop who literally means business, somebody who was a top cop with the Tamil Nadu Police, a senior IPS officer who quit the service to join the corporate world. Also by my colleague, former colleague I should say, Subramani, who again quit the Times of India to join the bar here in Tamil Nadu, and he's now donned the black robes. Evelyn?
Thanks. Before we get into that discussion, the news tonight and the headlines at this hour. Sri Lanka to release the 23 Tamil fishermen who were taken into judicial custody for trespassing into their waters. Indian Navy will have custody by morning. Madurai bench of the Madras High Court allows the CBI to appeal in the Dinakaran office attack case. CBI had delayed appeal by 118 days. Chennai continues to be destination auto industry. Peugeot is the latest to set up a manufacturing unit in city with a 4,000 crore rupee investment. Unrequited love has emerged as a cause for the young woman falling prey to a parcel bomb. Police nab a man who is suspected of plotting the heinous deed. Jaya Television's William Ravi Bernard is AIADMK's nominee for the Rajya Sabha. He joins the list of other journalists who were nominated to the House of Elders. And all is not well when it comes to our good old MTC buses, some rickety and some even posing a threat to passengers like you and me. Let's also take you through some of the national stories making headlines at this hour. No objection to younger people taking over the party or the government, but for now I have a job to do, the Prime Minister tells editors. Anna Hazare wants Dr. Singh to convince the government on bringing the Prime Minister under Lokpal. Anna meets Sonia Gandhi tomorrow. The BJP launches a scathing attack on the Prime Minister, asks him to explain the government's action against Baba Ramdev. Both sides claim the upper hand after Supreme Court orders Mamata Banerjee not to return Tata Singur land to farmers. No threat to India's clean waiver from the NSG, says the Finance Minister, adds America must honour its commitments. NATO helicopters end Kabul's hotel siege hours after Taliban militants stormed into the Intercontinental Hotel and set it on fire. And Google now takes on Facebook with its own social networking service called Google+. Our top story first. The Madurai bench of the Madras High Court has allowed the CBI to file an appeal in the Dinakaran newspaper office attack case. 3 workers of the Maran brothers-owned daily were burnt alive way back in 2007, allegedly by supporters of M.K. Aragiri after a survey report was published then. All the 17 accused, including a deputy superintendent of police, were acquitted. The CBI had delayed the appeal by 118 days. This issue had led to even a family feud between the DMK chief and the Maran brothers then. And it was then that Dayanidhi Maran was forced to resign during his earlier innings as the union IT minister. There's some good news. Finally, let's come to the families of the 23 Tamil fishermen who were until now in Sri Lankan Navy's custody for trespassing into the island nation's waters. Sri Lanka has decided to release the fishermen who were arrested 9 days ago, and the Sri Lankan Deputy High Commission in the city has confirmed this. The 23 fishermen are expected to be handed over to the Indian Navy tomorrow morning. This comes after the Chief Minister, Ms. Jayalalitha, had written to the Prime Minister and had even spoken to the National Security Advisor, Mr. Shiv Shankar Menon, to intervene in this issue. And senior correspondent with NDTV 24/7, Sam Daniel, gave us more on the implications of this order that has come as a development today.
That time when the CBI failed to file an appeal in the Madras High Court Madurai bench, at that time there was criticism that the court was actually helping the DMK at that time, which was in power, but now it has opened a fresh avenue for the CBI to make sure that those who were responsible for the killing of those 3 workers of the Dinakaran newspaper to be brought to justice. And It's a ray of hope for those families, in fact. But now the big question is, so much has changed now, because at that time the DMK was in power. The family feud had forced Dayanidhi Maran to resign from his cabinet position as Union IT Minister. But now all have changed. The families have patched up, and here there's been a change in God. So the big question is, will the CBI now be able to really nail those who have been responsible for those killing of those 3 innocent lives? That's a big question. And at that time, of course, it was a huge thing, because the root cause was that particular controversial newspaper article published by the Dinakaran, owned by the Maran brothers, which had projected M.K. Alagiri in very poor light, saying he was less popular than his younger brother M.K. Stalin, and all those 17 people except for one DSP are alleged to be very close to M.K. Alagiri. In fact, there is one who was also holding a public office at that time, and the delay at that point in time was attributed to the CBI, in a kind of a tacit help to the DMK members who were actually acquitted by the lower court. Now the big question is, will those responsible for that burning or killing of those 3 workers be brought to justice?
And moving on, sitting on the title of Detroit of India, wrestled away from the likes of Pune, Chennai is fast emerging as the go-to destination for auto manufacturing. With European auto majors making a beeline for the city, the French PSA Peugeot Citroën steps on the gas.
Bienvenue or welcome in French. That's how the new government is welcoming in 4,000 crore rupees of investment courtesy of French auto major PSA Peugeot Citroën. A high-level delegation from the $67 billion auto heavyweight met with the Chief Minister Jayalalitha to finalize plans. Peugeot plans to set up a manufacturing plant in Sriperumbudur on the outskirts of Chennai. When commissioned, the plant will roll out 3 lakh cars per year. Outside of the 4,000 crore rupees in FDI, the plant will provide employment opportunities. 5,000 people will be directly absorbed, while 15,000 will benefit indirectly. Analysts also expect the plant to attract French auto ancillaries to set up shop here.
Now, since the entry of Ford in the year 1995, facilitated by Jayalalitha, Chennai has emerged as an automotive hub. Since then, fast forward to the year 2011, and we find that 7 out of the top 20 companies across the world have called Chennai their home. Now, experts warn that if this upward trajectory has to be maintained, power, labour and infrastructure support is critical. In Chennai, with Peer Mohammed, this is Ashmit Kumar for NDTV Hindu.
Let me now toss it over to Sanjay Pinto for the big question this Wednesday prime time.
Well, and that big question is, mid-career shift, bounty or a gamble? And I'm joined live in our studio here by Mr. Vaidyanathan, who is the CEO of Classel, founder and CEO, somebody who was with Cognizant Technologies for about 12 years as Vice President. Surya Prasad, the former IPS officer who quit the service to join the corporate world as a head honcho CEO of Nelcast. And also by Mr. Subramani, A. Subramani, a former senior journalist with the Times of India on the legal beat, who is now on the other side of the fence, literally now as an advocate. But before that, let's go on with some news of the day today, and the reason why we are actually discussing this tonight. Remember, this is a bulletin with a difference. This is going to be a 1-hour show tonight, not a half-hour bulletin. And we're not only going to focus on politics, but also other issues that affect you and me as common citizens, residents of Chennai. That, in fact, is that big question. Mid-career shift, gamble or bounty? You can see that big question on your screens right now. But first, let's go over to the news of the day. In fact, related news. You've seen him on Jaya TV for a long time, but soon you will see him on Podigai or Doordarshan. No, Ravi Bernard is not channel hopping, but in fact, he's going to make it, perhaps if luck has its way, with in fact the House of Elders, the Rajya Sabha. Ravi Bernard is the AIADMK nominee for the House of Elders. In fact, for the AIADMK, he is all set to replace KV Rambalingam, who made it to the cabinet here in the state. There you can see Ravi Bernard greeting Chief Minister Jayalalitha. Of course, he's not the only journalist to actually make that shift from the profession to politics, in a sense. Cho Ramasamy here, of course, and several others in North India, from Arun Shourie to Chandan Mitra and several other senior journalists. Ravi Bernard there, how will he fare as a Rajya Sabha MP? Interestingly, many Rajya Sabha MPs, although it's called the House of Elders, are pretty young, one must say. All right, it's not just Ravi Barnard, but also A. Subramani, as we said earlier, who is Assistant Editor Legal of the Times of India earlier, also spent several years of his career with the Hindu. But of course, Subramani, after covering many cases in court as a journalist, standing on the other side of the bench literally, finally decided that enough is enough and it's time that he is the news, and therefore he's made that transition from the newsroom to the courtroom. Janani Sampath has more.
18 years ago, he tasted the power of the pen when he began working in a newspaper in Madurai. But by next year, he had enrolled at the Government Law College, Madurai, to know the nitty-gritty of the subject before embarking on a career as a legal correspondent.
I became a journalist in '93 and joined this law course in '94. The intention was, as and when I become a legal correspondent, a law degree will be of some help.
April the 15th, 2008 was a high point in his career as a journalist. The whole world woke up to his story on the secret meeting between Nalini and Priyanka Gandhi way back in March that year. A high-profile daughter meeting one closely associated with her father's assassination.
Whole month, nobody in Tamil Nadu, nobody in India, no one knew the fact that she visited Vellore prison. As a hobby beat, I used to do prison stories also. Then I inquired, why should she, even at that time, we didn't know Nalini is there. Why should she go to prison? Then my sources told me, no, Nalini is there. Then things started falling in place.
Within 3 years, Mani decided to leave the glamorous field aside and turn to a sober career in law.
You see, every profession has the ethics, professional ethics. As a journalist, I needed to be as unbiased, as neutral as possible. You are free to choose a case, but once you choose a case, you are answerable to the client.
From the newsroom to the courtroom, it has been a long journey indeed for A. Subramani. And now that he occupies a new seat on the other side of the court, we are sure it's going to be an eventful stint again. With camera person Madan, Janani Sampath, NDTV Hindu.
All right, and Subramani we brought him back to the Hindu. He's not joined the Hindu again, but he's here for this special discussion tonight. Subramani, thank you very much for joining us. I know many say that law, in fact, has this huge gestation period. Bad enough it has this huge gestation period. Now, bang in the middle of a very lucrative career, as it were, you've decided with a family, with kids to support, you've decided to take the plunge, to take the risk, is it, and don the black robes. How do you explain this career shift?
No, it's not an emotional decision. There's a cold calculation behind that. You said there's a gestation period. I was covering High Court for 11 years and I consider that as my gestation period.
The reason I asked you about gestation period is a lot of young law students will tell you that they put their heart and soul into their work and don't make enough to put to keep the two together. Now, of course, things have changed, but still many say that you need at least about 5 to sometimes even 7 years to actually make the cut.
Yeah, procedures, legal procedures are so complicated. It takes time for you to learn and understand how system works. That way, I'm not equal to new entrants, but still I have to put in double the work. I have to develop to make up this loss of time.
All right, your gestation period was your career as a journalist. Surya Prasad, somebody who's used to that white ambassador with the red light on top, the cherry on top, wielding, wearing your uniform, getting everyone to having everyone salute you as you enter your office and leave. This is why when you came in here, we told the security not to stop you so that you wouldn't feel bad. How difficult was it when you were in the prime of your career? You had everything going for you. You were also in the middle of action several times in that biryani rice gruel battle. We remember in Madurai, you were on the hot seat there in Madurai. Maybe I should also ask you about the Dinakaran attack case, but I'll be kind to you this time. As Commissioner of Police Madurai, you were in charge of airport security and anti-hijacking. Several sensitive posts you've handled. And then one fine day, you decide to call it quits, write the CAT exam. That year, I think there was also a re-exam. You topped the CAT exam, topped IIM Ahmedabad, brought back that gold medal with that red bag that your daughter sent you with, and joined the corporate world. How much of a risk was this? In hindsight, now it's been a couple of years since you left the service, although the IPS book that I looked up before coming here still says tendered resignation.
Yes, I did tender resignation.
It's not yet been accepted, is it? Why is it say tendered resignation?
Yeah, it has not yet been.
All right, okay. In looking back, I mean, the couple of years that you've been away from the uniform, do you regret your decision somewhere?
Regret my decision? Frankly, no.
You're still in a power company, so you're still to do a lot to do with power in a sense. But
Yeah, this is the power generation, not the enjoyment of it.
Okay. No, but minus the uniform, minus the perks of the job, the charm of the civil services, you miss that?
Yeah, I do miss it.
Okay.
It's not just the power that I miss, it is the service, the camaraderie. But I have been lucky, very lucky, to join a very good organization and be a part of and achieving something.
Okay, you're CEO already, so by saying nice things about the company, you won't get another promotion. But Mr. Vaidyanathan, Cognizant, Vice President, you served in the US as well. What made you actually take that decision? I mean, was this your aspirational needs not met within the organization, or the need to do something different, or was it perhaps corporate burnout?
Actually, it is wanting to do something different as well as trying to be transformational. So it's a combination of both. That's what made one take it.
And now you're mentoring young entrepreneurs in a sense.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you advocate, you're telling all our viewers, quit your jobs, come to me, and I'll make you make a lot more money.
Well, why not? I'll help you see that.
Are you making a lot more money yourself? Are you practicing what you preach? No.
Not yet, but I will.
How long? Gestation period here too?
In another year.
Okay.
In another, it's already been 2 years. In another year, we'll be making money and lots of it.
Okay.
But also be a part of the transformational story of this country, and that is where the opportunity is.
Mr. Surya Prasad IPS, you know, it almost became part of your name, just like Sanjay Pinto NDTV is. How difficult is it to live minus the tag? For all those who actually want to make that switch, a lot of people watching the show would probably want to know if they are dissatisfied with their jobs. When should they actually decide to make that switch? Is it giving up in a sense and going for something else? The grass is always greener on the other side.
The grass is always greener on the other side, in a way, yes. But you shouldn't get too comfortable with your cheese. I mean, before that...
Who moved your cheese?
Myself.
Okay.
So, it's a combination of wanting to do something different, and frankly, when I went to IMA, I went there to learn. At that point of time, it is not a big risk that I was taking, because I was still in service. Only when I completed my PGP with IMA, when I got a lot of offers coming my way, that I decided to
So you thought
change.
you would actually go on a study break from the service and come back and probably don the uniform again.
Yes.
That's what you had in mind. All right, very interesting story. We'll come back to also, Mr. Vaidyanathan, you will have to tell our viewers, those youngsters who are watching this show, I hope you don't give them wrong ideas and ask them to quit their jobs, and HR companies will be flooded with resignations, but tell them exactly the magic mantra. When should they actually decide? When do they take that call, a crucial call, a time when probably many of them have taken home loans or several other loans, probably just got married. It would seem almost like a rash decision if one were to quit one's job in search of what they call to follow your heart. But all that and more coming up. Subramani will also be with us, as well as Surya Prasad and Vaidyanathan. Stay tuned.